Good morning, ambitious business owners, and happy Tuesday, and welcome to my weekly lives. Now, this week we're talking about tone of voice in business, and it's rather timely following last week's live about building relationships, because a tone of voice is something which will contribute to building relationships, and I'll explain a little bit about why. But first of all, I'll just explain what tone of voice is in business. So a tone of voice is the way in which you express yourself both verbally and written. And it's not so much what you say, but it's how you say it. It's the tone, it's the attitude, it's the feelings that you invoke by the words that you choose or the way that you say it. Now, tone of voice, you'll note that I said is written and verbal. So in order to build your brand, you need to have a consistent tone of voice. And what I mean by that is wherever you are, whether it's written on your website, it's like a Facebook Live like this, or a video, or you're talking to clients. Wherever you are, all of your touch points with your customers and places that your business can be found need to have a consistent tone of voice. Why is this? It's so important for building trust amongst your customers. Think of it a bit like a friend. You've got a friend, and most days they're this happy, jolly, kind person. But then, randomly, they'll have a day where they're just not, and you don't know why, and they don't say why. All of a sudden, there's that doubt as to, well, are they a good friend? Not really sure what I'm going to expect. I don't really know what the issue is. There's this almost schizophrenic feeling about this friend. You're not really sure what kind of a person they are. They're chopping and changing. And that's exactly the same in business. Your tone of voice needs to be consistent all the time. It's a bit like delivering customer service and customer experience in your shop or through your website. If it's not consistent, people don't have trust in what you're going to give them or deliver them or provide for them. I know I've got hairdressers in this group. I know I've got chiropractors and service-based businesses. Every time your customer turns up, you want them to feel the same level of service, get the same attitude and feeling that they get, because that's why they're coming back to you. If one day the hairdresser's grumpy or the chiropractor's not very chatty, but on their website they talk about this, friendly, approachable atmosphere, and they're not getting it, that's inconsistent tone of voice, verbally or written. So that's where it's very important that on your website and through your social media content, blog writing, anything that you're pushing out there, morning Suzanne, that you maintain that consistency. And that's where, when I talk about outsourcing, if you're outsourcing maybe your Facebook content or your newsletters or blog writing, that it's about making sure that whoever's doing it for you is maintaining your tone of voice, and you need to be able to describe that to them. And if you can't describe your own tone of voice, then that writer's not going to pick up on that either. Now, if you've decided that your tone of voice is very chatty, very informal, very approachable, that's great. You need to consider the words that convey that attitude and approach in business. If you've got a more formal approach, maybe you're in a service, maybe you're an accountant or something like that. Yes, you want to be approachable, but you use a more formal language perhaps. Maybe you're quite direct, maybe you're quite practical. Whatever it is, that's got to come across. So a bit like these Facebook Lives that I do each week, people kind of know what they're going to get. You're going to get from me a very honest, practical approach. I'm going to give you tips. I'm going to give you examples. That's what you're going to get from me in these. And that's what I give to my clients. I give them very honest feedback. If I think something's not right, I'll tell them. If they want advice, I will give them advice and feedback. So that's my tone of voice. It's a more practical, it's a more hands-on approach to marketing. I do things in quite a traditional way. That's what happens throughout my marketing. That's how I describe myself. That's what I write about, and I'm all about giving value through these practical tips. So if that's your tone of voice, make sure that comes through in everything you do. So again, if I give another example, so Suzanne, as you're watching, so your tone of voice, knowing your business, it's quite fun, it's a little bit flirty, it's engaging, it's warm, and that's what you want your customers to feel when they're experiencing the cool clutch experience, when they're purchasing a bag, when they meet you. And again, that's really important to convey to your retailers and through your point of sale material, for example. It would no good having one sort of feeling on your website about the bags and the fun that you can have with them and the different uses. If then you reach a retailer and there's this very formal presentation, there's no information, there's no visual pop of how that personality of the bags comes through. So that's what I mean by tone of voice. Tone of voice, as I said, needs to be consistent. So it's about checking everything that you push out there. Whether you're being interviewed as well, that's another place that it's important. Another analogy I use is where people have branding photography done, and they have portrait photographers and headshots done for their business, and they look nothing like the person in real life. And then you meet them in real life, or you see them being interviewed, or they're speaking at an event, and there's this complete mismatch. Now, I know photographers do a great job, and you're not going to walk around looking like that all the time, but that's where tone of voice is really important. So even if they look a bit different, you've still got to get that same feel from them. And it's almost like the first moment that they open their mouth or they talk, it's like, ah, yes, that's her or that's him. Again, people use visual branding, so it might be they wear certain colours, and that sort of thing. But this is all about your words and how you say it, not what you say. And that can be done very differently. So maybe see if you can write down what you feel your tone of voice is. Choose 3 or 4 words that describe it. And it could be a good exercise for you to check over some of your content, or consider it when you're next out and about or talking to customers or whatever it might be. Always consider your tone of voice. What are you about? What message do you want to give? What feeling do you want people to leave with and think and feel about you when they go? This is all tied into brand, and this is what I was talking about last week when we were talking about building relationships. If you're not consistent with your tone of voice, it makes building relationships very difficult, because again, people get this mismatch between who they thought you were and felt that you were and what your brand was about, and then you're not when they meet you or they next engage with you. So consistency is key. So see if you can define your tone of voice in a few words or a couple of sentences. I'd love to hear them. If you listen to this live, any questions, pop them in the comments box. If you're listening to this afterwards, I would love to hear your answers in the comments box, and we can all have a chat about it and share ideas and maybe help each other out. So thank you for listening, guys. I'll be back next week with another topic. But as ever, if you've got something you want me to talk about or explain or give you some ideas on, please just message me or post in the group, and I will add it to my list of live topics. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of the day, rest of the week, and I will see you soon.